What if Ahsoka Tano, once Anakin Skywalker's Padawan, stumbled upon his children, Luke and Leia, during the height of the rebellion? After spending 2 years on Malachor to keep the timeline intact, Ahsoka finally decides it's time to return to galactic affairs and joins back with the Rebel Alliance. She meets with her old Ghost Squadron, who catches her up on what's happened around the galaxy. She reclaims her identity as Fulcrum and continues her rebellion work in the unknown regions. She does this for around a year, and her efforts are essential to the Alliance. However, as she's flying between missions, she grabs her chest as she feels an immense pain through the Force, as if a million voices screamed out and were suddenly silenced. Something has happened, and she tries to contact Bail Organa, but there's no answer. She connects with Mon Mothma, who doesn't know anything, which leaves Ahsoka clueless. Something has happened, she can feel it. However, later that day, she feels a similar feeling, but this time, it's more personal. She senses her old friend through the Force, Obi-Wan Kenobi, but the feeling isn't getting stronger, but slowly fading away, and she knows he's fallen. These two events cannot be unrelated, and she heads back to the Rebel base on Yavin 4. She returns to find everyone on high alert, as there are reports the Death Star has just come out of hyperspace close to their location. She rushes into the meeting room to find Mon Mothma discussing the plan for the assault and listens intently, but cannot help herself as her gaze shifts to two young rebels in the back of the room. She feels a familiar presence around these two, and they instinctively look back at Ahsoka, straight in her eyes. After the meeting concludes, Ahsoka goes over to Mon Mothma and asks who those two are, who tells her of Princess Leia, Organa's daughter, whom she heard about by name but never met. However, the other was Luke Skywalker, a Jedi Knight. Ahsoka steps back in disbelief. She didn't recognize this Jedi working with the rebellion. Who could he be? Could he be related to her master? She didn't think Anakin had any relatives. She goes over and introduces herself to Luke and Leia as a former Jedi, and tells Luke she can sense the Force in him, but also Leia. However, she hasn't unlocked her true connection. She asks Luke who his master is, and he tells her Obi-Wan Kenobi, but Ahsoka already knows his fate. They don't have time for chit-chat, and Ahsoka tells Luke she will aid him in his assault on the Death Star, but talking to both of them has confirmed something in her mind. They are both children of her master, Anakin Skywalker. She doesn't know how, but she's undoubtedly convinced. She can sense her master's presence in both of them. However, she can tell they are unaware of this fact, but this isn't the time to bring it up. The Rebel Alliance is successful in their mission, and Luke destroys the Death Star before it can blow up their base. Ahsoka was amazed by Luke's piloting skills that he's no doubt inherited from his father. As they briefly celebrate on Yavin 4, after preparing to evacuate, Ahsoka invited both Luke and Leia to fly with her. They agree, and Ahsoka turns on the autopilot, and the three congregate in the social quarters. R2 speeds on and rushes over to Ahsoka, giving her his version of a hug. Luke asks how she knows the droid, who tells Luke she was the apprentice to the droid's master, Anakin Skywalker, his father. Luke's ecstatic and begins bombarding Ahsoka with questions, but before she answers, she turns to Leia and tells her she also knew her father, the same man, Anakin Skywalker. She tells them they are related, twins in fact, and can sense their father in her. Leia doesn't believe her initially, but Ahsoka talks to her about the Force and asks her to feel deep within and the truth will emerge. Obi-Wan Kenobi's Force ghost appears in the room, a huge surprise to Ahsoka, who hasn't seen the Master in over 20 years. They both smile at each other and convey what they want to say with their eyes. Obi-Wan turns to the twins, backing up Ahsoka's story, and tells them the truth, how they were separated at birth and hidden from the Empire. But Obi-Wan doesn't stop there. He tells them the truth of their father, his fall to the dark side, and emergence as Darth Vader, Sith Lord, and the right-hand man to the Emperor. The twins are left speechless. To Luke, Vader's the man who killed Obi-Wan and his family, and to Leia, he's the man who blew up their home planet. But before they focus on the dark for too long, they ask Obi-Wan and Ahsoka about their father before his turn, and they talk about Anakin Skywalker and Padme Amidala for hours. Obi-Wan tells them to go to Dagobah, where they will commence their training in the Force. They touch down and exit on the Swamp World, where they are greeted by Master Yoda. Obi-Wan introduces the twin children of Anakin Skywalker, and Obi-Wan reunites with the Grand Master. Together, Luke and Leia's training begins. guided by the wisdom of Yoda with Ahsoka and Obi-Wan's Force Ghost. The twins underwent rigorous training, each facing their own unique struggles. Luke, impatient and eager to take action, was forced to slow down and understand the subtleties of the Force. His skills in telekinesis and lightsaber combat improved, but it was his advancement in the art of mindfulness that became the cornerstone of his training. He learned to listen to the whispers of the Force, allowing him to predict movements and feel disturbances long before they took shape. Leia, on the other hand, was an astute student, catching on quickly to the teachings of Yoda. Her diplomatic and strategic mind easily grasped the ethical tenets of the Jedi, and her latent Force abilities bloomed. Yet she wrestled with the difficult emotions of her lost home, Alderaan, and the dark revelation of her father's identity. Yoda guided her in channeling these emotions, but not letting them take over. Together they trained in lightsaber combat, and it was through these sessions, amid sweat, focused, and playful sibling rivalries, that they discovered the true potential of their united force. Strong individually, but almost invincible when combined. Yoda tested the twins in the darkest cave of evil, Luke seeing himself what his father turned into, and Leia seeing the faces of countless innocents she couldn't save on Alderaan. But after confronting and conquering their fears, they were rebuilt, stronger, and more resolute in their path as Jedi. As weeks meddled into months, the twins grew in their mastery of the Force. Vader sends bounty hunters to discover the identity of the rebel who destroyed the Death Star and uncovers his name, Luke Skywalker. He becomes increasingly obsessed with capturing Luke, his son, and keeps this information from the Emperor, and finally has found the chance to overthrow him. During their time on Dagobah, Yoda senses the regret inside Ahsoka regarding Anakin and advises her to consult the Dagobah cave to confront her fears about Vader. She enters and experiences a vision where she could save Anakin and turn him back to the light side, however not alone, but with the help of his children. After their duel on Malachor, Ahsoka concluded that Anakin was gone, but now with his children, there is hope to bring him back. That night, she brings up the possibility of bringing Vader back to the light side, but Obi-Wan and Yoda disagree, saying he's gone too far, that no one can return from the monstrosities he's caused. But Ahsoka looks at Luke and Leia, who interject, saying they've heard such good stories about their father before he turned, that there's no way a person filled with that much love and compassion could ever be truly gone. Yoda tells them the only way to defeat the Sith is to kill Vader and his master, but the twins say they won't attempt this until they try to redeem their father. They believe there has to be good in him, that no one is ever truly gone. Together they all meet back with the Rebel Alliance, and they hatch a plan to lure out Vader. They leak information about a secret meeting of the Rebel leaders, where Luke will be in attendance. They purposefully release this information through specific channels, and Vader takes the bait with his informants, letting him know and him alone, and don't report to the Emperor. They set up the meeting on the moon Antar 4. They have the Rebel fleet on standby in case anything goes awry. Vader arrives on the moon, alone, and begins walking through the hallways of the only facility present. It feels seemingly abandoned, but he can sense Luke's presence as he turns a corner to see Luke alone in the hallway, who turns to confront his father. Vader ignites his blade and begins walking forward as Leia steps out, followed by Ahsoka and Yoda. Vader stops, sensing this is a trap, and Ahsoka calls out his name, Anakin. They all feel the visible tense in him, and tells his former apprentice that Anakin Skywalker is no more. But Ahsoka tells him she doesn't believe it, and neither do his two children. Vader pauses and asks her what she means by children. She tells Vader she did not misspeak. Leia is also her child, twin sister to Luke and the daughter of Padme Amidala. Luke and Leia both reach out with the Force and show Vader what Ahsoka's saying is no lie. However, before Vader can contemplate this, Darth Sidious and his fleet come out of hyperspace. Little did Vader know, Sidious has his own informants who told him about the supposed meeting and has come ready to attack. Ahsoka contacts Mothma, who tells her of the situation, and in response, the Rebel fleet comes to oppose the Empire. War breaks out above the moon, and Vader retreats to Sidious and knows he's outmatched by the 4 Jedi. Ahsoka tells the twins they tried to appeal to Anakin, but Vader's identity is too strong, and now they have to be willing to end their father if necessary. Leia reluctantly agrees, but Luke is not so sure. Sidious lands and meets with Vader, next to their ship and tells his master of the Jedi who's determined to wipe them out. The Jedi don't try to escape and know this is the best time to confront the Sith. The twins have been training for this and they're as ready as they'll ever be. Sidious and Vader enter together, and Sidious is instantly surprised by the power of the twins, but also sees potential for future apprentices. But what surprised him the most was the weakness of Master Yoda, who's barely clutching to life and will not be pivotal in the coming battle. Sidious smirks as he mocks Master Yoda and comments on how the Jedi has grown weak. They are thrust into battle, Sidious lunging first with his crimson blade and engaging the twins, who tap into their united force strength, taking turns in defending against Sidious. Vader engages Ahsoka and Yoda. The clang of lightsabers fills the room, and Ahsoka speaks amidst the striking, calling to Anakin, telling him he knows he's in there and to not let Vader destroy him. Vader ignores Ahsoka as he advances towards Yoda and brutally kicks him across the room as he hits his head and falls unconscious. But Ahsoka doesn't stop there. In between strikes, she tells Vader there is hope for a future, for the life he was promised. In his twins, he can live the life Padme would have wanted. Vader stops, and Ahsoka feels the flicker of light inside of him. He's coming back, slowly. Luke and Leia advance towards the Sith Lord, but the stress of the battle begins to show as Palpatine uses the Force to push Luke across the room and collapse the ceiling above to trap him. He focuses his attention on Leia, who staggers, her grip on her lightsaber faulting. He spins and trips her on the ground, and raises his blade above his head to finish her off. But Luke calls out to his father, begging him to help protect Leia. As Palpatine brings his saber down, Vader swoops across the room and intercepts Sidious mid-air. A shower of sparks erupt from the clash. Disbelief and betrayal controls Sidious's face as he looks upon Vader, finally allowing a glimmer of Anakin to shine through his eyes. Using the Force, he sends his former master crashing into a wall and uses the Force to release Luke. Vader, Ahsoka, Luke and Leia advance towards Sidious, who stands, but they back him into a corner. He puts up a formidable defense, but cannot defend himself from the onslaught as Vader thrusts his lightsaber through Sidious's chest. Vader, visibly weakened by the act, deactivated his lightsaber and falls to his knees. Ahsoka approached him cautiously, but not without a sense of hope. She calls out to his name, Anakin, who looks up at them and tells her she was right. The room is thick with emotion, years of pain, loss and missed opportunity in the air. Vader tells them they have much to fix, but Luke and Leia tell him they will do it together. With Palpatine's death, the defeat of the Empire is inevitable. The Rebel Alliance takes over the Senate, and the New Republic is formed and adopts the democracy of the past. Yoda succumbed to the injuries he faced in the battle, and the Grand Master finally lay to rest. Ahsoka, Luke, Leia and Anakin decide what to do next, and come up with the decision to start a new Force order, to leave behind the ways of the Jedi and Sith, but to thrive for balance in the Force. The Jedi's dogmatic ways alienated Anakin and allowed for darkness to seep in, but the darkness of a Sith is corrupting and will inevitably take over. One in the Force must strive for balance between Ashla and Bogan, and they name the order the Grey Guardians and begin searching the galaxy for Force users to train in their order. Leia didn't take too kindly to Vader at first. He destroyed her entire planet, along with her adoptive parents, and this wasn't something she could overlook very easily. But Vader did save her when it counted, and she learned how destructive the pull of the dark side could be. She holds her father to an extremely high standard, but his commitment to righting his wrongs slowly pulls Leia to his side. Qui-Gon watches happily from above, as although the path was long and destructive, it was the only way, and Anakin had brought balance to the Force. If you enjoyed this video, you have to watch What If Ahsoka Never Died and What If Anakin Skywalker Fell in Love with Aayla Secura. Consider becoming a member for $1 a month and continue to leave your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you all next time.